Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can see, today we have a new background. I hope you appreciate the art that I've been putting behind me. It's an unfinished painting, but soon it'll be finished. And before we start this video, don't come for my lashes if I did not send for you. Okay? Done. Today it's another story time, and I'm gonna be talking about something that I've been seeing on Instagram. If you went to school with me and other private schools in Harare and around Zimbabwe, I'm sure you know about this movement called, for us it's like Black at Gandhi Lomagundi College, and there are other pages on Instagram starting on that, and that actually made me think, you know what, I need to tell my story for once. You know, I've been quiet because it triggers me. It really does, because I went through a hard time. I went through a hard time with accepting who I am. Not even accepting who I am, realizing who I am, because accepting would mean that I don't like myself. No, realizing who I am and what I am and loving it. So that will be the story time for today. Stay tuned. First of all, I need to give you guys a brief background on how I grew up, so that you guys can understand the story. So I grew up here in Harare, and as I grew up, I had two grandmas that I knew. That was my mom's mom, who I used to see but we are from Kumusha and stuff like that. And then there was my dad's grandma, who we used to call Gogo Peggy. So at that time, I didn't realize that Gogo Peggy was white. Yeah. In fact, I didn't see color. That wasn't anything that, it didn't occur to me that we're different from her. So I knew that every time I went to my grandma from my mom's side, it was all loves, hugs, kisses, and fruits from Kumusha. And every time I went to my dad's grandma, who lived, I think, in Borodale, it was all hugs and kisses, cake and chocolates, and getting to swim in the swimming pool. So that was my life growing up. And my parents happened to send me to an English-speaking primary school around the time that preschool, in fact, creche, around the time when I was starting to speak. So I caught on to, the first language I caught on to was English. And I didn't see that as a problem until when I started going to my mom's rural areas, and people would call me Mkarat or Murungu. And I didn't really understand why they would call me that, because I could hear Shona, but to speak it, I didn't have the confidence. Because every time I would try and speak in Shona, I would speak it wrong, and then I would be laughed at or corrected in a very condescending way, and then I'll just stop dead in my tracks. I'm like, I'll speak the language I know how to speak. So my relatives would speak to me in Shona, and I would answer in English. So that was me. That was me all throughout primary school. I went to Twin Rivers Primary School, and it was a mixed bag. I wasn't very confident, because around that time I also got these big, I don't know whether it's acne or it's eczema, but around that time my skin started to change dramatically, and I used to have these cysts on my face, and when they would pop, it would look like I was burnt, and then they would turn black, and some blue and purple. So I went through a horrible time of, at the same time my dad decided to cut my hair. So I was a mixed bag of everything you can bully me about. I was tiny, I was short, my dresses were always too big. On top of that, I had these huge boil-like pimples and short hair. So I was a mess. So life wasn't that easy for me, because at school, yes, I would kind of fit in on the language part, but then I was always ridiculed and bullied. And then at home, it was like I was safe in my house, but the minute I went outside to play with friends, I was the odd one out. So yeah, getting in with junior school, I got used to the pimples, and I was like, you know what, screw you, if you don't like my pimples, I showed I would say. And I became like a tomboy because I figured, you know, I'm not that pretty to be a girly girl, so let me be a tomboy. So that day I would beat you up if the mood was upon me. Yeah. So that's how I got through primary school. I was very aggressive. And the language thing kind of got to me because Twin Rivers is a mixed school. It's a mixed school. And I had two friends of mine. I'm not going to mention their names. They're not black, but they were my rocks. Actually, three friends. They were my rocks. And I had a group of black friends who were also my rocks. And the grateful part is, at that time, I didn't see the difference between my white friends and my black friends. There was no difference to me. They were all just my friends. And that was the vibe between Rivers. No one saw the difference between each other. I don't know, I was too young to see any tension between teachers or older students. That was just that. Where things really got hard for me was during grade 6. My brother got sick. He was only 4 months. And I was having a hard time at home because I love my brother. He was like, there's the brother, right? The second born. He was the third born. He got sick. And he was in hospital. So at home, I wouldn't show that I was being affected by the fact that my mom was sleeping in hospital with my little brother, and we were home with dad and the maid, and my mom would go in and out. And I wouldn't show that I'm being affected. So I would actually cry at school. So I'm sorry, I actually get emotional every time I tell the story. So I'm gonna try not to cry. Around that time, I was in L1. Like most private schools, you have Shona, L1 or L2. L1 is for the black students, Shona. L2 is for the other students, white students, non-Shona students. And they would be taught a diluted type of Shona there. While I was in L1, my Shona teacher in L1 was really sweet. She was really cool. And I'm not going to be mentioning names in my video just for people's privacies. She was really sweet, she was really cool, but I was struggling. I was really struggling. Because when it came to reading out in Shona, I could barely speak in Shona. I couldn't even read. Like, reading Shona would like fry my brain most of the times. So the headmistress came and spoke to a bunch of students, and I opted to go to L2. And I went to L2 and I was one of the only Shona students there, because L2 we had some black students who were from other countries like Kenya and Uganda and Zambia. And I was there. Everyone knew I was Shona because my name's Mudiwa Marasa. There's no escaping that. And but my Shona teacher in L2 was ruthless to me. She was extremely ruthless to me. She would make life even harder. Sometimes I would say I'm going to the bathroom and just lock myself in the bathroom, and I would cry for minutes until someone came to fetch me. And it was just a mix of emotions. I was feeling out of place. She would ridicule me for having a Shona name but not being able to speak in Shona, and that would make me feel so bad because I'm like, in my mind, I'm trying to speak in Shona, but I didn't have the confidence to speak in Shona, if you understand. I don't know if anyone has gone through this. Every time I would try, I would stammer. And it would just kill my confidence. And that was something that was odd for me, because during junior school I was in the choir, I was doing solo singing, I was doing solo poetry, public speaking. I was that girl. But then when it came to speaking in Shona, it was a no-go area for me. Sadly, this teacher passed away while I was still in school, and that kind of made it worse. Like, it's like I was going through the, oh my god, how can I hate someone who's just passed away kind of thing. So I went through that phase of not fitting in. I'm going through puberty. I actually got to a stage where I was a little bit suicidal, because I was like, you know what, you're not doing anything for me, hey? I still have these dumb pimples on my face. I'm still the shortest girl in the class. I found myself really ugly those days. And this is a time when I'm going through puberty, so you understand that, you know, you're trying to be a girl, but you feel like, you know what, girls are pretty. And on top of that, I'm black, but I can't speak Shona. What sort of black person doesn't speak Shona? But my mom got me through it. She got me through it through Bible verses and just being strong for me. And I really, when I think about it, you know, she was going through her little baby being in hospital on drips. Like literally, Chikomborero was on drips and he was hooked to monitors and stuff like that. And now her little girl is going through a lot. And around that time, she also got pregnant with the last born in her house. So she was going through a lot. And then it was a hard time. So while I waited for my grade 7 results, actually, let's not jump there. I went through prom, and my dad, at that time I was getting my hair plaited, luckily, but my dad refused for me to get extensions and weaves, and I found that so oppressive. And at that point I was like, I hate you, Dad. You made me not fit in, because my goal was to fit in and everyone else was getting weaves, and I wanted to look good, and to me good was a weave. So I went to prom in my little free hand with the little fringe, with the hair that wasn't quite getting there, but I appreciate my dad doing that. I really do. I appreciate my dad doing that for me, because he made me appreciate my hair. Going forward to Form 1. So now the pimples had gone worse. I didn't know how they could get worse, but they had gotten worse, because it wasn't just cysts anymore. They were now full-blown puberty pimples. But my teenager body had gotten in, so that was a win for me, at least. And I went to Lomagundi College and had some friends with me from Twin Rivers, and life was good. Life was good until Shona class came back to bite me. And my Shona teacher, every time I would say something in English, he would be like, Buddha, extra oxygen. So I spent a good, I don't know how many weeks, every time I would say something in English, out. It got to the point where one day we were lining up to get in, and I had just put my foot in and he was like, Mudiwa, get out. And it sucked for me, because they were reading set books, and I can understand Shona, right? I'm following the story, but I can't read it, and we had to read it. I appreciate my Shona teacher. I do. Like, he is one of the best teachers ever at Lomagundi College. Why? Because he gave me the right push to learn my mother language. Because in hostel, I'm a bit talkative and I'm a big complainer, and I was complaining about everything. So people are giving me a hard time for complaining. People are giving me a hard time about a lot of things. Being someone who had never been in boarding, and I learned that time that my mother had actually spoiled me, because I got to 13 and I could not bed my bed, I couldn't wash my own clothes, and now we had to wash prefects' clothes and stuff like that. So that was a whole mess of emotions was going on at that time, and you know, that whole boyfriend saga had started, and I was just feeling a little out of place, but it was getting better. It was getting better because I had started to learn Shona, and by the end of the year, I could hold a conversation in Shona. I could text in Shona, and that was thanks to him, because on my first day of not orientation, I'm forgetting the word escapes me. That thing where your parents come and they're told how badly you're doing in class, that one. My parents, they were just invited with, are you Mudiwa Marasa's parents? It's like, yes. It's like, Zimbabwe, you're not Shona. It's like, no, we're Shona. It's like, so where was Mudiwa born? First of all, where was Mudiwa born? And they were like, she was born here in Zimbabwe, Harare. Like, no, you need to teach your child Shona. That's a disgrace. She needs to know her language. So my parents also pushed me, and by the end of the year, I was good in Shona. So what was going on at Lomagundi College was, there's not going to be an expose or anything. I know with the whole movement, the black at Lomagundi, people are talking about their story, their truth. So I want to speak about my truth without bashing anyone, without making anyone feel bad, without making the staff at Lomagundi College feel bad. No, that's not the point. The point is to just speak the truth, and you know, just improve. The whole point is to improve. My experience there, I always felt a little bit inferior. And being told we can't speak in Shona, even though like I have to practice. For me, I had to practice speaking in Shona for my Shona class. We could only speak in Shona in the Shona class, and to a point that was almost like our safe place. For me, that was my safe place, because I could speak in Shona with my black friends, and I would kind of feel the vibe of other white students whenever we spoke in Shona together. It was like almost like we are plotting against them, but no, we're actually just speaking the language we're comfortable in, and I was getting comfortable in the Shona language. And the worst part of it was around the time when we had got at Lomagundi College. That was around the time when the whole relocation of farms, can we call it relocation of, I call it stealing of farms, where a lot of white farm owners were brutally taken out of their farms, and that was really wrong. But what was going on was a lot of the white students would look at us like we were the ones who came to get their farms, and most of us weren't even farm owners, and we kind of felt their pain, but they were a little bit they would segregate us in a way. We couldn't really get to know each other as a stream until our headmaster at that time, he took us out for a bonding camp session, and that was great. We got to know each other. I don't know about everyone else, but I got to know a lot of the students in our class, in our stream. We got to know each other. We got to bond. The tension kind of left the building for us, our stream, and it was crazy, honestly, what was going on. But at the camp, it was just amazing. We got to know each other, we got to appreciate each other's stories, each other's backgrounds, and we got to really tell them that, you know what happened was wrong. We don't condone it. It's not us, you know. Stuff happened in 2008 that also affected a lot of our lives. I have relatives who lost lives, lost limbs, and it wasn't, we didn't want them to feel like it was a black versus white type of thing, even though in a way it was. But for us, we're trying to tell them, no, we're with you, we support you. That was wrong. So that camp session happened in Form 2, and we came back a little bit more relieved. And I feel like our headmaster at that time, he was great, really, at dispelling the kind of the tension that was going on. I even had a one-to-one session with that headmaster. Really got to know where he was coming from. Even got to know his daughter. And in that little space of time, that was great. So getting into Form 3 and Form 4, things kind of shifted gear. I wasn't really feeling myself at that point. I had finally gotten in with my culture, Shona, really getting into a lot of things so that I didn't feel so much of a salad type of thing. And my confidence had kind of risen, but not in a big way. So around Form 4, I was struggling with my art because I felt as if I was being oppressed or being held down, and I don't want to show any hate to my art teacher at that time. No, I actually love the fact that she pushed me to pursue art in O level, but I felt like I was being held back in terms of materials, in terms of medium, and I wanted to move forward. So I told my father that I wanted to move schools before. I told him, I want to move schools. And I talked to, around that time, was our religious teacher, a religious, I don't know, confident. I'm not going to say names, that's the thing. And he was my rock, honestly. Like, everyone knew me. The minute I had something wrong, I was at his office, like, spilling my guts, please help me, kind of. He actually encouraged me to take the move. I wanted to be closer to my parents. I wanted to be, I didn't tell him this, but I wanted to be in a blacker environment. Because I didn't feel like myself. I honestly didn't feel like myself. Because so much was happening, so much tension was going on at that time, and things were just, they were just weird. For me at least. Because I had a crush and he happened to not be black, and I kind of thought he had a crush on me, but I felt like he couldn't really talk to me because of his friends, and I was kind of hearing that was going on, and that kind of like, it made me feel so dejected, so I left it. And so after Form 4, I moved to Eaglesville. That was the time when I found myself. That was the time I figured out who I am, why I love being black, why I love being Shona, why I love my culture. Not only because I was surrounded by other black people, but also because I realized I found people who were comfortable and loved being black. So that kind of vibe kind of got to me too. I got comfortable with my art, because honestly at that time I was drawing a lot of white people. Which is not wrong, but it kind of reflects how I was feeling in my heart. Because if I look back, honest truth, I wanted to be white, because I felt like that was superior to who I am, who I'll always be, the chances I'll always get, the privileges I'll always be afforded. When I went to Eaglesville, I appreciated, you know what, I love my skin. No matter how many pimples I have and the current problems I had with my skin and my hair that was so stubborn that didn't want to grow, I loved it all. Why? Because I was surrounded by people who loved being who they are. So it was a growing time for me. Yes, I went through 2 very harsh heartbreaks, but it was a growing time for me. There were growing pains. By the time I took my gap year, I was Mudiwa Kimberly Marasa. I was the Mudiwa Kimberly Marasa, with no dilution, with no compromise. I was me. I was speaking fluent Shona. I was loving myself. I was loving my short hair. That time I cut my hair because I was growing it long, but then I was straightening it, and I was relaxing it. I wanted to be straight. No, I cut it all off. I was enjoying my short hair. I was enjoying my features. I was enjoying myself. I was enjoying my culture. I was enjoying my language. And I went to university loving myself, knowing where I came from, knowing that even though I was fluent in English, I was also fluent in Shona, and I could use whichever language I wanted whenever I wanted, and I would never feel inferior to anyone at any time of my life. And that's a great feeling, and I want everyone to feel that way. Whether you're black, whether you're white, whether you're Indian, whether you're Chinese, no matter what race you are, I want you to feel like that. That is such an empowering feeling. I want you to feel like, you know what, I would never want to be any other race. If God came down and said, what race do you want to be right now, I would change it. You're like, no, God, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm G. That's what I want to be. That's what I want everyone to be. That's what I want everyone to feel in their lives. That's what I want my daughter Makanaka to feel in her life. I want her to feel so proud of being black, so proud of being Shona, so proud of being Zimbabwe. That's what I want her to feel. And that's what I want everyone to feel. And this whole Black Lives Matter, I feel like so many people have gotten the wrong vibe. It's not hate. We don't hate any other race. We're just trying to get you guys to love us the way we are, to appreciate us the way we are, to get that, you know what, people do bad things and it's not about their race. I always argue with people because a lot of black people say white people are good. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. But there are also some bad white people too. There are also some racist white people. There are some non-racist white people. There are some rude white people. There are some polite and blessed white people. It's the same. There are some very, like, when people talk about violence, I've noticed when people talk about violence in America, do you know that honestly the most prolific serial killers in America are white? Like, please? Everyone is violent. Every race is violent. Human beings are violent. No matter what color they are violent. So for people to portray black people, black women to be violent and angry, we're not angry. We just got flavor from Africa. It's the same, different languages. If you attack a black woman, she'll give you the fire and the flame. That's how people are. There are some very quiet black people too. I'm not saying we're all rowdy and all that. No, I'm just trying to get you guys to see that we're all human beings. Everyone has a yin and a yang. Everyone has a bad time, a good time. Everyone, this whole thing of here you say this so you must be racist, here you say, like, cancel culture is getting too much, if you ask me. Cancel culture is getting too much. It's true that people need to start respecting each other and people need to start loving each other, but we can't cancel someone for something they say 10 years ago. They can come and they can apologize. Yes, we need an apology, but dragging them through the dirt, making sure they lose their careers and stuff like that's just wrong. It's hate. It's pure hate. It does no good. Yes, if they can acknowledge that, you know what, that was my mindset 10 years ago, I'm very sorry. That's all we need. All we need in this time where people have lost their lives due to coronavirus. All we need in this time is people to understand that we are human beings, all of us. People to understand that we are one, and then all together people to love themselves and love each other. That's the message I really wanted to show you guys. As someone who's been through that moment of self-hate, and then a moment of kind of hating another race, and then figuring out that, you know what, I can't hate a race. That's stupid. It is. If you didn't hear it from anyone else, hating a race is stupid, because it's just a pigment of color. It's just lack of melanin, or too much melanin, or just enough melanin. It's just melanin. You are hating melanin, and that does not, and it doesn't, I can't understand when people are racist to that point of killing someone, of just because you're different. Everyone is different. It gets to me. I don't understand it. So I hope the story time really helps someone, as much as I know I rambled at the end. I hope the story time helps someone to understand and to love themselves, and then love another race. If you are sitting at home and you're racist or low-key racist, there are some people who are low-key racist. I need you to ask yourself, if you were to cut that other person, wouldn't they bleed the same way that you bleed? Words do hurt. And I want you to understand that when you say something that's mean to someone else, something about, there's no color that is wrong. Ask yourself, if someone was to say that to you, how would you feel? If someone was to oppress you because of your color, how would you feel? Okay guys, let's get out of the dark, deep and heavy. I hope you guys liked this video. Please like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye.